my name is Gabrielle, and welcome back to Gabrielle's Guide to Books. As you all know, I am approaching a milestone birthday, and maybe I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic, but I've been thinking about the books that I read in my girlhood. And honestly, in the age of banned books and the way that people do not want kids to read today, I have just been thinking about all the books that I read as a young girl and how those books just really opened up my worldview and how those books were a really great introduction into like heavier and bigger and more complicated topics that I could discuss with my parents, my teachers. I'm going to talk about 4 books that I read in kind of like my late elementary to middle school years that really shaped who I am, I think, as a reader and as a woman today. If you like Black bookish content, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up.
Even on the bad days, I thank God for making me brave, 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 brave.
Let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane for me. And these books are really in no particular order. The first book is Meet Addy by Connie Porter from the American Girl doll series or collection. When I tell y'all, Addy came at a time in my life when I just really needed for a Black girl to be front and center. I must have been maybe in like 4th grade or so, maybe 3rd or 4th grade, when like the American Girl doll craze was like at its height. And I remember that like we had the catalog and the catalog was sent around. It was everywhere, okay? And I remember all the other girls, like was Samantha and Felicity and all of the girls representing different time periods in American history. And we have our girl Addy Walker, who represented the time of enslavement and Reconstruction. It was so wonderful to, first of all, just to see a Black girl represented, and for the Black girl to be a dark-skinned Black girl like Addy. When we meet Addy, Addy and her family are enslaved in a physical sense. Their minds are definitely set on freedom. We immediately meet them and they are talking about how do we get to a place of freedom. We see Addy as a precocious young girl. She is curious about the world around her. She's helpful to her parents. She is generous. She's someone that is concerned. And there are a series of books about Addy, from taking her family from enslavement to freedom to just navigating this new world. I think for me, it was a really interesting way to get a new picture of enslavement. Of course, slavery was a cruel and brutal institution. And that was something that my parents made sure that I knew. And this was also at the time that like Roots was also on the TV. I have a huge copy of Roots in my collection now. So I knew all about Roots and like definitely the brutality of enslavement. I will also say that it was very helpful to me to get the perspective of a young girl and to think about how she was navigating that, what may have been the questions that she was thinking about. I think so often, at least in that period, it was so much focused on what was the brutality that adults especially were subjected to, and to think about a child. And it was like, whoa, like someone my age was subjected to this type of labor and not going to school, and I'm able to read and I'm able to write. So it just like brought that home to me. I can't believe that it took so long, but my sister actually just a couple of years ago for one of my birthdays got me the entire collection of all of the Addy books. And I reread them, and it just really took me back to that place when I was either in the 3rd or the 4th grade. I think that this is a way to introduce stories about enslavement, the Civil War, Reconstruction, freedom, emancipation, all of those types of topics to a young person. And would highly recommend like this collection. But I also think that this is like such a good starting place for adults as well. I think this was probably the first book where I felt like I saw myself and I was like, yes, books are for me. Okay, so the next book I'll share is The Skin I'm In by Sharon G. Flake. I remember the day that I saw this book. I actually got this book from my school library, and it was sort of facing out, and I saw this girl and I was like, wow, she looks like me. And I saw her as a dark-skinned Black girl, and little did I know that was really the premise of the book, was about loving the skin that she was in. Honey, I will just say middle school was a great time for me. I know everybody cannot say that, but baby, I loved middle school, and I had no problems loving myself and the skin that I was in. But this was just positive reinforcement, I will say, for me, about the skin that I was in. But it was really affirming, I will say, to see a Black girl and a Black girl that looked like me on the cover of a book. Then to read the story about how a teacher, no less, was the person that helped to instill this like sense of self-esteem and self-pride in her. And yeah, this book definitely meant a lot to me. And coming back to this book has meant a lot. And it's one of those books that has stayed in my collection for a long time. I haven't actually reread it like I have Addy. I really should. I really should reread it, because I'm sure it would be a quick reread, but this was definitely one of those books that early on, seeing myself represented. These two books, seeing myself represented in them was everything. And I think when people say about books that representation matters, it really does matter. The next book that I will mention is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. This book was such an eye-opener for me. I think what was great about this book is it followed Cassie Logan, who was also another young Black girl who was about my same age when I read this book. I think she must have been about like 7 or 8 in this book. And her family owned their own land in, I don't want to get it wrong, but I'm pretty sure, I think it was Mississippi. Let me see. I can't flip through it really quickly to see. And, my bad habit is that I try to remember books off of my own memory instead of like looking them up, because I don't want to be influenced by like something I've read about them. But I think it was Mississippi, because I grew up in Alabama. Alabama's really close to Mississippi. I think so. But anyway, they owned land in Mississippi. Something happened in the town. Her grandmother decided to stage a boycott of the white store, the white general store in town. And so basically the white townspeople decided to like retaliate against the black families within the town using the KKK and other means of violence and things like that. And so this was the first time that I had seen in a book that was like my age group. You know, you see stuff on TV, but like in my age group where I was seeing like this violence play out in a book, seeing how it was affecting like black families. I am almost positive that this was the first time that I had read a book that talked about lynching. And this like really stuck with me. And this was a time that my dad would take me and my sister and my brothers to the library like after school. I would pick out books. None of the young kids would know this, but like this was a time where you would really be looking up stuff like in the encyclopedia, and you would be looking up stuff, and like you would really do like reference lookups, and you could ask the librarian like questions and all of those types of things. So like I was really doing research in the library to really know whether or not like these things were happening, where these things were happening. And I just remember like this was a thing that was like expanding my world. I just remember the time of reading this book and thinking about like the awakening that I had about the experiences of black people. It's one thing to hear people talk about it and they're kind of like sanitizing it, maybe leaving a few things out because it's like young ears hearing it, but then having a writer write it specifically for young readers, and then doing that next level of exploration of asking family members, doing research on it, and then asking more questions about it. I just remember that was just like a period of awakening for me. And it was like one of those things of like really forcing school curriculum to like, even if they were not teaching that, what I knew from like books, to be like, well, what I read is X, Y, and Z, and whether the teachers didn't answer it or not, I felt like at least I was challenging that, or, you know, but I also knew that I had parents at home that would, you know, be able to help me to answer those questions, or I had older siblings and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that this was one of those books that was sort of like an awakening for me. I wanted to pair Flyy Girl by Omar Tyree with The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier, but I cannot find my copy of The Coldest Winter Ever. I am sure I have at least 2 copies, but I cannot find them. I am living life on the edge because when I opened my copy of Flyy Girl, that y'all can see has traveled with me through every move that I have had. When I opened it, this is my sister's copy. It has her name inside of it. So there's that. So I guess I'm a person that borrows people's books and never give them back either. Tracy is like a teenager in parts of this book, but Tracy is, as the title says, a fly girl. That she is like the it girl. She is living fast. There's like sort of like this revolving door of like men and boys and men coming in and out of her life. She's living like fast. This is taking place in Philly, and it's just really like this coming of age story about like life lived too fast. This was so opposite of my life, just like also The Coldest Winter Ever is kind of in the same vein, and it really opened me up to a world of like, oh, people are living different lives than me. Because it was like, oh, these other books are kind of about like self-discovery, or these are books about what has happened in the past. But this was like, yeah, this was set, I think, in the 1980s or so, but it was like, oh no, these girls are teenagers, and like their mamas and daddies aren't around, and they're just off. It was like, oh, stay in school, do this, do that, and like there's a plan for your life, Gabrielle. And then it was like, but Tracy is doing what Tracy wants to do, and Tracy is a girl about town. And I was like, I mean, this sounds crazy, but Tracy's having a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of things that, like, Tracy, and then The Coldest Winter Ever, Winter Santiago, like, there's a lot of things that, like, they are living really fast in their lives, but there's experiences that they're having. And I felt like when I was a teenager, it was like really interesting to see. Even as a person that could quote unquote be seen as sheltered, I was still able to see other people's life experiences. And I was able to do that through books in a way that TV shows never, I just wouldn't ever be able to see. Because TV shows at this time were totally wholesome. I mean, The Cosby Show was on TV at this time. A different world. Like, you weren't seeing grittiness like you were seeing in a book like Flyy Girl or The Coldest Winter Ever. And so it just opened my world up, I think, to there are people that are having different experiences than you. And it's okay, girl. It's okay. It's okay. I think that that's the beautiful thing about reading, and of course I am all for, like, having books available, but that's just really one of the sad things about banned books in this era, because I think reading expanded my world. So those were the books that were foundational for me in my early middle school days, because by the time that I went to high school, honey, I was only reading my required readings for high school, because after that, I was like, give me Toni Morrison, give me Alice Walker, give me Bell Hooks. I want Audre Lorde in high school. I was not trying to read, I don't know, whatever they were recommending. I mean, YA wasn't where it is today. So I was not trying to read whatever they were pushing off to teenagers then. I was trying to read college level African-American literature then, okay? So anyway, you all, please let me know, what were the things that you were reading when you were in middle school? What are the books from elementary school, middle school, high school that really have shaped you as the person that you are, as the reader that you are? Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay glowing. Bye, y'all.
I can't help but think that there is some